Welcome back to the Sharing Secrets channel, where you email us your sexual secrets and we share them. Anonymously, of course. Before we get started, please like and subscribe. Help our channel grow. Once we reach 1,000 subscribers, we plan to do a contest where the person with the story with the most likes will receive a prize. Tonight's episode is sent in from a guy who named himself Johnny. He said he altered the names just for privacy. Apparently, after a few drinks, Johnny and his friend Jake decided to swap partners. First time for both guys. And as I read his email, well, trust me, it's a good story and you're gonna want to hear more. So like always, get your wine, dim the lights, get your partner, sit back and enjoy the story. The name of this story is The Arranged Partner Swap.
Me and Jake have been friends for more than 14 years. One night we had Jake and his wife Emily over for dinner and drinks. While the girls were entertaining themselves, me and Jake escaped to my man cave for some whiskey and cigars. As we finished the cigars, we also finished most of the whiskey bottle, completely forgetting the beers we already had poured down earlier that night. I leaned back on the leather couch, rolling my glass of whiskey between my fingers. Jake sat across the dimly lit man cave. I remember it had started as a simple conversation, just two men talking about the little curiosities that creep into a long-term marriage. 10 years, man, I muttered, shaking my head. I love Sophie, I do. But sometimes I wonder what it'd be like to feel something different. Jake smirked, tipping back his drink. You're not alone. Emily and I talk about that kind of thing sometimes. The idea of stepping outside, but together, you know. I feel like that kind of talk in the bedroom helps spice up our sex life, but sometimes I don't know if she's really into it. I felt a pulse of heat at his words. It wasn't something we ever spoken about before, not explicitly, but there was an undeniable undercurrent to the conversation now. I don't know if the whiskey gave me the confidence to light the match and try to continue the conversation, knowing deep down I had some private fantasies about his wife before. Would you ever do it? I asked. Jake held his gaze for a long moment before grinning. Depends on the offer, and I would have to really see if Emily would be willing to do it as well. A heavy silence stretched between us, thick with unspoken temptation. It was Jake who broke the silence. Listen, we trust each other. Be real, have you guys ever considered partner swap? Because if there was any couple I would consider doing that with, it would be you guys. No drama, no bullshit. That's when I admitted to Jake, dude, Emily is fucking hot. Do you think she would be down to do this with me? Jake chuckled. Emily's already admitted she thinks you're cute. And if I'm not mistaken, Sophie's eyes linger on me a little longer than they should. The words sent a jolt of excitement through my body. Sophie, my sweet, sensual wife? Had she really thought about Jake that way? The conversation carried on through another drink, details slowly emerging until a decision was made. No obligations. Just one night, a shared experience, then back to their normal lives. We went back upstairs to join our women, drunk from alcohol and excitement. While we were downstairs, we practiced and strategized on how to bring up the topic. While on the couch, Jake broke the ice and said, Hey, so my boss recently told me that he and a friend swap wives for a night. Kinda like a date night with the other person's wife. He said it was not the about sex, but more of feeling that excitement of going on a date with someone other than your wife. He told me then it saved his marriage and spiced up his sex life. What are your opinions on that? Emily immediately caught on. Is that what you want, Jake? She joked. I actually think it's a good idea. I think it would nice to feel appreciated by another man for a night. No strings attached, she said. That's a great idea. I would definitely be willing to try that, of course, only if Sophia wanted to. I said, putting all the pressure on Sophia. I remember Sophia looking at me. Confused, but a curious smile started to form as she turned her attention to Jake. Sure, I mean, I don't want to be the party pooper. So, we all agreed. Next Friday night, we swapped partners for a date night. We didn't need to push our luck with details, but for the whole week leading up to Friday night, me and Jake both decided to kind of persuade, or rather pillow talk our women into swap fantasies during sex leading up Friday night. I remember one specific night, might have been a Wednesday. Me and Sophia were deep into an intimate session where I brung up Jake's name. I said, we should fantasize about what could happen Friday night. I remembered it turned her on. That's when I knew she was game. I mentioned to her that whatever happens Friday night won't change a thing between us. I love her no matter what. That Friday night came. Sophia stepped out the bedroom wearing a black dress that complemented her breast, showing so much cleavage it was hard to focus on her in the eyes. My jaw dropped. The excitement about what was about to happen, and me knowing what that dress was intended for, had me uncontrollably impatient. That's when the doorbell rang. Jake and Emily had arrived. Jake looking sharp and smelling good. Emily was stunning. She wore a slightly opened tan trench coat that reached her knees. Her purple skin-tight dress barely visible but definitely noticeable. As agreed, we swapped partners for the night and proceeded our separate ways. I had made reservations to a seafood restaurant because I knew Emily liked seafood. We were seated at our table, and when Emily sat down, I noticed her dress barely covering her panties. She had nice, thick, juicy thighs. She immediately saw me staring, and I knew she liked it. Emily broke the ice. So, what's your intentions for the night? Honestly, I always found you cute, and if this is our one opportunity to explore with no strings attached. Besides, Jake told me to have fun and to make sure I gave his best friend the best night of his life, she said with a flirtatious look on her face. After a few drinks, some small talk, and some sexual implications, she started teasing me by rubbing her feet on the inside of my thighs. Oh man, I was rock hard. It's been a minute since I was this turned on. I immediately said we should probably get room. She agreed. Once we got in the room of the nearby motel, our clothes could have not come off any quicker. The way she grabbed me was way different than Sophie ever did. Emily grabbed me tight with dominance. She pushed me as I laid flat on my back on the bed. She started to go down on me without breaking eye contact. The way she licked me, the way she slurped, the way she showed me how bad she wanted me. Our bodies touching, our hands exploring new places. We took our time as we knew this was probably our one and only chance to experience each other. Her eyes intensely looking for approval of satisfaction. The way she moved, the rhythm as both our bodies combined as one. This was the feeling, this was the excitement I was needing. It was only a few more minutes before I knew I had to finish strong. So I did, and till this day it was one of my most memorable moments. That night we were both satisfied and knew that it was probably best to not tell our partners of what happened. Little did she know, me and Jake already had a pact to tell each other everything that happens, no matter what. We got back home just after 3 a.m., and to our surprise, Jake and Sophia were still not back from their date. We opened up a bottle of wine while we waited. Emily, still hot, decided to have a little more fun while we waited. I never had any sexual experience in my house other than with my wife. So that was hot. Jake and Sophie finally arrived just a few minutes after 4 a.m. From the way they entered, I knew Jake had just as much fun with Sophie as I did with Emily. Sorry, I know it's a long story. I will tell Jake to email you what happened that night with Sophia. And from what he told me, trust me, it's even hotter and wilder. I couldn't believe what he did with Sophie. And I had no idea Sophie had a wild side. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my story of my first partner swap.
Well, that's the end of tonight's story. That was definitely a nice touch of details building up to what we were all expecting. From what Johnny wrote me, Jake's side of the story is even more spicier, and he will skip all the details and jump straight into what happened Friday night. So if you guys liked this video and want us to share Jake's side of this story, please like and leave a J on the comments. And if you want your secret sexual story shared on our channel, send us an email at sharingsecretschannel@gmail.com. And like always, see you on the next spicy episode.